The way the violence against women is just a footnote in a flawed man's story. The comments I'm getting on the video I did about these two um, are terrify me, to be honest. And I'll share some of those in a minute. I'm actually going to share a personal story about a man with an addiction and his really sad, sad story. It involves police brutality, alcoholism, corporate greed, oh, and a little domestic violence, but whatever. So when I just went home to visit in the United States and saw a family, I met up with one of my relatives who is the memory keeper. And I want to know about my family. I want to know our story. No one really talks. So this person talks, and so I'm going to actually call him again and just push record and let him tell me so many stories about my family. And one of the stories that I had heard years ago, but I wanted to know more. I didn't know which relative this happened to. I didn't know the details, but I knew that one of my relatives, many of my relatives, men, were alcoholic, and that one of them was the town drunk, and that they would find him in ditches and whatever. Now, having dealt with my own addictions, I'm not an alcoholic, but I understand the struggle of chronic addiction. By the way, relationships can be addictions, but I have an enormous amount of empathy with people with addictions. I've dealt with addicts my whole life, but I've also seen the harm that's caused, and also love a good redemption story, and also understand systems of oppression, patriarchy, white supremacy, capitalism and how that works, ableism, beauty standards, all the phobias, right? And so whenever I think of stories, I try to have that lens when I'm thinking of a story, because it's never just about the story itself. It's about these systems of oppression and how they play out. And this male relative of mine, he apparently was a good-looking guy, was married, and he, worked at like a chemical factory. So, not a wealthy guy by any means. And this is also in the South, where the violence in white families is, I wouldn't say unmatched, but it is next level. I mean, when you grow up in an area that is literally all about enslaving people, forced labor camps, and exploitation, of course, white families, whether they own people or not, that whole, whatever. Anyway, this particular relative was there was an explosion at his chemical plant, and he was severely injured. I believe his entire face was burned off. He went from being a very good-looking man to a disfigured man, and he had a really hard time dealing with that. And I am sure he was never received any payout from the company or whatever. So I don't know if he was an alcoholic before this happened, but he spiraled pretty hard out of control into his alcoholism. And pretty regularly he would get taken to the drunk tank, as they used to call it, for, hitting his wife, whatever, as men do. But, apparently it was bad enough where she had to call the police regularly to get this man taken out of her home so he could sober up and not beat her up. And then one night, she called again, and they came and got him. And, my family comes from a lot of ridiculous humor and delusion and silliness. And in his drunken stupor, he started, yelling at the cops in the front seat, I should be the one driving. I don't want to be back here. I want to drive. And he was making jokes. And the police took I don't know. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. My relative explained this to me, what it looked like. And they just went whack to get him to shut up. And they knocked him in the head with this piece of metal or whatever so hard that his brain bled out and he died. So police brutality. They literally killed my relative while he was drunk because he made a bad joke. And we know that in the South especially, those policemen are probably involved in terrorism. I mean, still are. And, originate from slave patrol. But anyway, so this is a story of police brutality and chronic addiction and corporate greed. And I don't know if they were impoverished, but those people working at a chemical plant doing manual labor were, definitely working class. And he died, and that's all I know about it. But when this story was told to me, first time this was ever mentioned, why he was in that police car was, oh, he was beating up his wife. And even in this version of the story, it was just a footnote. Just a footnote. Oh, whatever. Like, they had to go right. So the sad story is this poor addict died at the hands of police, died of an addiction, his face was disfigured from chemical burns. Oh, and by the way, his wife was so terrified of him, she had to call the police regularly to have him taken away. Don't know anything about the children and the impact on the children. Don't know anything about the impact of the wife. Don't know anything about her point of view, the horror of living with a man who probably couldn't work after that, but went from being good looking to probably hating himself because of the society and the way society probably treated him. Had an active addiction. So she was probably taking care of him like he was her child already. All this, I don't know anything about that story. I don't know anything about her story. I don't even know her name. Don't even know her name. Don't know anything about her. The only part of that story that anyone knows is that he died and he was a drunk. Because people so don't care about the violence that men who love us do towards us. What these fathers do towards their own children. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We are a footnote in men's main character story. And we are mistakes. Whereas all of the articles about Ozzy Osbourne say, their relationships had bumps in the road, ups and downs, blah, blah, blah. Strangling your wife to almost the point of death is a bump in the road. No mention of killing her cats or whatever. 17 cats, I think. The violence against children, animals, women, people of color, especially black people. The violence of everybody against everybody but white, cis-het men especially, doesn't forking matter, especially, if they're addicts. And I say this as somebody who loves addicts, I'm a family full of addicts. I give them more grace than anybody. In fact, I had to learn how to not give them so much forking grace. And part of that was seeing how my own addictions in relationships, and especially my eating stuff, how much harm that caused. If I can look at my own impact on other people, they can look at their impact on other people. But systemically, we don't care. Just, whatever. Donate to PETA, and it's all good, man. All those 17 cats you killed, the bat you bit the head off of or whatever, all those animal guts you were throwing at people, none of that matters. He was learning. He was growing. We are just lessons for men to learn on their hero's journey. And if we get killed along the way, whatever, he's a good man now. Don't speak ill of the dead. Fork off. Fork off. I'll speak ill of the dead. In fact, I'll talk even more crap about him now. I will show you some of the comments that are horrifying in that video I did yesterday. I'm about to private the video. It's at 200,000 views now, and I've spent probably 6 hours of my day already blocking people and getting them out of my comments because I don't want my videos in their algorithm. And I won't make any money off the video because I don't make any money on TikTok anyway. I honestly forgot how many women need serious help out there, because a lot of these comments are from women. Most of them are from women. Anyway, I know we have been taught to see ourselves as a supporting character in these men's life, and we are just a planet, and they are the sun, and us and children, are just to orbit around these king baby suns, No thanks. My female relative, who I don't know the name of, don't know the story of, don't know how her or their children, what happened to them. I want to know their story. It's still tragic what happened to this relative, but the fact that she's not even mentioned says everything. So yeah, I'm tired of being a footnote. I'm tired of women being a footnote, children being a footnote to the king baby in each household. I'm not collateral damage. You're not collateral damage. We are people with our own rights to having our own life. We are the main character of our own life, not a supporting character or a producer or a manager of a man, especially one who tries to strangle us to death. Short video, short comment song. Mo's sleeping, comment song. Look at that ear. Comment song. Mo's so happy that I'm back. Sleeping, comment song. I'm dog sitting at my in-laws with another dog who watches Mo sleep and do nothing. Goes, comment song. Walking around, Mo's taking a dump in the most beautiful places. Well, I mean, this place isn't, but in general. Mo's dreaming. Look at the tiny, tiny footsteps. I'm held hostage on this chair because I can't wake the king baby up because he's dreaming. Comment song. Let me know if you heard the comment song.